All right, guys, what is going on? I hope everybody's out there staying high speed and motivated and accomplishing their goals, whatever they may be. Got some awesome news for you guys today in regard to pay. And this is going to be especially great news for my junior enlisted folks out there. Something that I think you've had coming to you for a long time. Something that I would think that back in my days when I was a private, I definitely wish that I had. Awesome news. We're going to get into it in just a second, but I need to update you real quick that the Hybrid Warrior program is live and available at grittysoldier.com. And I just want to say that the program is absolutely awesome. It does everything it's intended to do. I'm just about done with it. Of course, I've been putting it through the test before the launch date. It just launched last week. Just about to wrap it up. And I gained myself anywhere between 5 and 7 pounds of lean muscle mass. All right, stayed lean, put on some more weight. It worked exactly like it was supposed to do. And I'm still maintaining my mileage. So it's a great program. Highly recommend if you're into hybrid training. That is, if you're somebody who's wanting to combine the benefits of both cardiovascular and endurance improvement and also stacking on some muscle while you do so. Excellent program. Can't recommend it enough. I will drop a link in the description for you guys. It is available now. And why not? I just thought of this. Might as well do it. You guys are loyal subscribers. Love all of you guys. All right. You guys are awesome. Always have been awesome. Let's go ahead and throw a $5 discount code on top of that. If you use code GRITTY5OFF, that will take $5 off the Hybrid Warrior program. All right. I'll drop that in the description as well, so you don't forget. GRITTY5OFF. Thank you guys for being such loyal subscribers and viewers. Love all you guys. Okay, I took way too much of your time on that one, but I had to put it out there. Here we go. Junior enlisted to get 20% pay bump. E5s get 13% more under the House plan. Is that not a beautiful number or what? 20%, that is huge. Way better than we've ever seen in the past. I think that's definitely going to raise the gap. Let's look a little more into it so we can understand what's really going on. House lawmakers plan to overhaul military pay tables next year would result in a nearly 20% basic salary boost for troops ranked E4 and below and a substantial bump for E5 as well. Under plans unveiled Monday, House Armed Service Committee members next week will consider language in their annual Defense Authorization Bill draft that includes highly revised military pay tables designed to bring all junior enlisted pay to at least $30,000 a year. That's a pretty significant raise, and it's going to be bigger depending on your rank, right? It's going to be a little less if you're an E1. If you're an E4, it's going to be much more. And actually, if you're an E4 and you get this and you have a certain amount of time in, I don't remember the years, but if you have a certain amount of time in, you'd actually be making more than an E5, and that's why they're giving the pay bump to the E5 as well. For an E2 with 2 years of military service, that increase would mean about $5,000 in extra pay next year. For an E4 with 4 years of military service, it's almost $7,500 more in salary. To ensure E4s aren't getting paid more than E5s, the pay table overall also includes increases for mid-career enlisted troops. Combined with the 4.5 across the board raise, some E5s could see up to a 12.5 pay increase next year. An E5 with 6 years service can expect a pay boost of about $4,300 next year under the House plan. An E5 with 8 years of service will get a $3,500 raise. I think those are pretty decent numbers, all right? That is a pretty substantial raise, and honestly, the junior enlisted very much deserve this, in my opinion. So I'll tell you, I read another article, obviously I pulled up this article for the video, but I read a whole other article on the same subject, and they kind of went into why this came about, why it's such a substantial pay increase, and there's multiple reasons. First of all, they tried, when I say they, it's the House Armed Services Committee, they tried to boost it up 30% last year. Obviously, that didn't happen. They didn't want to bridge the gap too far between the junior enlisted and the higher enlisted pay scales, because then it would just be too skewed, and honestly it just wouldn't make a lot of sense with how people get paid and how ranks go, and it would just mess up the whole structure, right? But additionally, across the United States, if you all remember, it's been pretty recent, but the minimum wage standard has increased. And now there's some jobs out there, and before I get into this, I'm basically quoting that other article that I read. For example, a Walmart greeter who now is making more money than a junior enlisted soldier. And we all know the roles and responsibilities are vastly different across the force for different MOSs, for different services, different branches, so on and so forth. But to dumb it down and make it simple, to see if it makes sense, you have a Walmart greeter, and then you have a job that could potentially have somebody handling millions of dollars of equipment, some technical expert that is able to fix comms equipment at any moment's notice. High value skills, a lot of investment has gone into them and they're expected to perform those skills at a high level. Whereas you have a Walmart greeter who's making more money than them. And so obviously that is a huge issue, right? And all those issues combined has led us to where we are today, where we have realized, or at least the House Armed Services Committee has realized, that the junior enlisted are just not getting paid enough. They're not getting paid enough to combat inflation, to take care of their families appropriately. And honestly, it's not a very good incentive for somebody to come into the Army as a junior enlisted personnel if they're just not going to get paid more than what the work would require them to do to be a Walmart greeter. No offense to Walmart greeters out there, but hey, I mean, that's a much easier job than going out there and fixing helicopters. So we got all that very exciting news. Let me just tell you the quick fine print, okay, so I don't get your hopes up too much. First of all, I'll tell you the 20% comes from two numbers, two separate raises, okay? The actual raise that they're proposing, that raise is actually going to be 15% for ranks E1 to E4. They get the 20% in this article because across the force, they're looking at proposing a 4.5%. So combining 4.5 to that 15%, you get 19.5%, and we're just going ahead and we're rounding it out to 20%. So really it's 19.5. That is your annual pay raise. That's not going to be the same every year, I don't think, but that includes your normal annual raise that you would normally see, okay? So that's where that 19.5/20% number comes from. For the E5s, it's also a combination. It's something like 8% plus the 4.5%. Now, here's the big one, okay? This is the one you gotta consider and you gotta keep in your mind as you contain your excitement about all this, all right? This proposal is still in draft, all right? It is in draft for the National Defense Authorization Act, which is an annual must-pass bill. But this is only the proposal of the House Armed Services Committee. The Senate Armed Services Committee, who also gets a 50% vote on what goes into the NDAA, has not given their proposal yet. They have also not voiced any opinion towards the House's proposal as of the date of me making this video. And this happens every year. There's always a proposal draft of an NDAA that the Senate House Armed Services Committee drafts up and submits, and then there's one that comes from the House, and it goes together, and then they see it together, and usually there's things that they just don't agree on. They have to go back to the drawing board. They figure everything out. Eventually, the hope is you get the best of both worlds, and then that goes up to the president for final signature every year. If you guys remember my videos on all the changes that were proposed for the ACFT in recent years, that's why a lot of things were confusing and jumbled up and all that. It's because the House Armed Services Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee, they both had significantly different views on what the ACFT should look like throughout the years ahead. And we're probably still going to see that, if I'm being honest. I don't even know. I need to look into that. But with all that considered, I would say it's probably a pretty safe bet to go ahead and get a little bit excited about this, because it's obvious and quite apparent that the government sees there is a huge issue with pay for junior enlisted troops. And when it comes to money, especially when we're talking about the health and welfare of U.S. military and their troops, and you know, I know we like to talk crap about the government a lot and all that stuff, but usually things pan out pretty well for the troops. Sometimes it takes a little bit extra time. In this case, it's taken a few years, right? But hey, they are on the right track. They're fighting for the junior enlisted. They're fighting for these pay bumps. And honestly, guys, I think it's going to come to fruition. But just keep it in the back of your mind that this is not a guarantee yet. The news is going to portray it like it's a guarantee. It's just not quite a guarantee yet. It's still just a proposal. It's an extreme draft mode at this point. I promise I will pay attention to this to the best of my ability so that I can make sure to update you guys as much as possible as this rolls out. I want to make sure you guys know what's going on crystal clear and you're not misinformed by all the other mediums out there that might be trying to give you some false news or some news that isn't necessarily true. I'll definitely make sure to do that for you guys. I'll definitely keep you updated. Just for now, look forward to this, but don't go buy yourself a new charger, all right? Hold on to that. Wait till the raise actually is official, and I will let you know as soon as that happens. I want to know what you guys think about all this. Let me know if you think this raise is enough, if you think it's more than enough. I want to know what you think about the process on how we've gotten here, the process that we still have to complete to actually get to where we're going. I want to know everything. I want to know all your thoughts so we can have a conversation, okay? Put it down in the comments. Let's talk about this. I want to know what everybody's thinking. All the information that comes out on this channel is supposed to be useful for everybody. everybody that watches this. So the more information we have, the better. So again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop it in the comments. I hope you guys are as pumped as I am on this news. Besides that, I've got nothing else for you, and I will see you on the next one.